this lesson, you will evaluate numerical expressions by using the order of operations, and you will evaluate algebraic expressions by using the order of operations. So your first vocabulary is to evaluate. Evaluate means to find the value of an expression, and you can see the word value right inside this word evaluate, so we want to find the value. So to evaluate 3 to the power of 5, you would take 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, and on your calculator, you have a key that will do this for you in one shot. I'm going to do 3, I'm going to do that caret key, which looks like a triangle without the bottom, to the power of 5, and I get 243. Let's try 2 to the power of 4. That's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. If you would like to type that into your calculator, you could, but this is also 2 times 2, which is 4, times 2 times 2, which is 4, so that would be 16. You try the example in your notes. Order of operations is PEMDAS. It stands for Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally, but really in math, it's parentheses first, then exponents next. Multiplication and division, you work from left to right, and then addition and subtraction from left to right. Your book definition is to evaluate expressions inside grouping symbols first, evaluate all powers next, do all multiplications and or divisions from left to right, do all additions and or subtractions from left to right. So let's evaluate this example. If we're going to use order of operations, we look for parentheses first. There are none, so then we go to exponents next, and you see one right here. So I actually rewrite 16 minus 8 divided by 4 plus 14. Every step you should rewrite. So now I look and I see I've got my exponents gone. I look for multiplication and division from left to right, and as you can see, there's a division symbol here. This is a subtraction, so I skip it. So this is 16 minus 8 divided by 4, which is 2, plus 14. As you look now from left to right, all the multiplication and division are gone. So I have a subtraction and an addition. So I actually work this from left to right. 16 minus 2, which is 14, plus another 14, which is 28. You try the example in your notes of just a basic order of operations. Now when you add some grouping symbols to order of operations, it can get just a little bit more complicated. So let's practice 3 different kinds, and then I gave you an example in your notes of each kind for you to practice as well. So in this example, we do have a parenthesis. We're going to do that first. 4 divided by 2 plus 5 times 4. I don't need an equal sign, sorry about that. Got a little ahead of myself. So now this parenthesis is taken care of. I look for exponents. There are none. So then I look for multiplication or division left to right. And you see this divide, so 4 divided by 2 is 2, plus 5 times 4, which is 20. You have to do the multiplication before you do the adding. The last thing you would do then is take 2 plus 20, and now we can solve and have 22. Remember to show each step, break it down. In this example, we have some brackets, and inside the brackets, this acts as one parenthesis, but then we have another here. So we do have to do the smallest parenthesis first. So this is 6 bracket 32 minus 2 plus 3, which is 5 to the power of 2. Inside this bracket now, I have to solve everything inside, treat it like a parenthesis, and inside I have a subtraction and an exponent. Well, I do the exponent first. So it's 6 bracket here, 32 minus 25. Now I take 32 minus 25, which is 7. So this is 6 times 7, and when you solve that, you get 42. Following it step by step. The last example I'm going to give you is an example of a fraction. In order of operations, you have to simplify the numerator, simplify the denominator. You actually would divide last here. So let's go ahead and see what we would get. If I follow order of operations, I do exponents before I do subtraction. So this is 8 minus 5. That simplifies to 3. In the denominator, I have 15 plus 9, which is 24. So then the last thing I would do is simplify, and that's how I get 1/8. You could do 3 ABC 24, or you could divide it out, and you could have a decimal answer also if you wanted to. So you try the example in your notes of each type. Now we're going to work with evaluating when I have variables that represent numbers and then I want to plug those in. I call this plug and chug because you plug the number in and then you chug away. So this is x equals 4, y equals 5, z equals 3. So I'm actually just going to rewrite by putting each of these numbers in the place where they go in this expression. So this is 3 times 4 squared, because I do x squared, plus 2 times 5, because it's 2y, plus 3 to the power of 3, because it's z cubed. Now I'm going to follow order of operations. I have some powers that I have to simplify, but yet I need to look at my parentheses first. So I'm going to work inside here because I have some parenthesis work to do. Do I multiply first, add first, or powers first? Well, I still go to powers first. So this is 3 times 16 plus, and inside the parenthesis I have, go ahead and do the multiplication here. That's okay, that's not going to hurt anything. 2 times 5, which is 10, plus 27. So I've simplified, in this case, I've simplified the multiplication, and I've done the powers 3 to the power of 3. So I do have to add this before I can do any other work here. So this is 3 times 16 plus 37. And I could get rid of those parentheses if I wanted to. I wouldn't need those. So then when I take 3 times 16, I have 48 plus 37. When you add that two together, you get 85. So my result after plugging these values in is 85. I gave you an example for you to try of evaluating an expression in your notes. The last thing we're going to talk about is a real-world example. In environmental studies, Science on a Sphere, SOS, demonstrates the effects of atmospheric storms, climate changes, ocean temperature on the environment. The volume of a sphere is 4/3 of pi multiplied by the radius r to the third power. So let's see if we can translate this verbal statement into an algebraic one. So volume is capital V, is an equals, 4/3 is the fraction 4/3, multiplied by pi, so you could just write pi after it, multiplied by the radius r to the third power. So this is the volume formula that I created from that last statement. Now I'm going to actually plug in the radius. I want to use a radius of 3 feet. So this would be V is equal to 4/3 pi, 3 feet to the power of 3. And we already talked about how that was 27. So you're going to multiply 4/3 times pi times 27. Now on my calculator I do have a pi key, so I'm going to do 4 ABC key 3 times pi key times 27. And this is what I get, 113.097 and so on. And this is my volume. Now it did not designate up here what to round my solution to, so we usually use an approximation of 2 decimal places. So I would say my volume is 113.7 makes 9 change to 10, so I would say 0.10 feet, and since it's volume, it is cubed. So this is a real-world example of using an expression and solving it. So you try the example in your notes.